The value of the currency on the expert table. Sunday, July 7, 2019. Baghdad Hussein Thugb. The importance of the Iraqi currency and its impact on the Iraqi economy in light of the current changes. The Department of Economic Studies in Beit al-Hikmah held a scientific symposium entitled Change the Value of the Iraqi Currency, Benefits and Costs, with the participation of financial and economic experts in the public and private sectors. The symposium was moderated by Dr. Falah Hassan Thwaini, Supervisor of Economic Studies at Beit al-Hikmah last weekend, with the participation of the Financial Advisor to Prime Minister Dr. Muthar Mohammed Saleh, as well as Professor Dr. Mahmoud Mohammed Dagher, Director of the Department of Financial Operations and Debt Management of the Central Bank of Iraq. The participants dealt with the reality of changing the value of the Iraqi currency and the reduction of the Iraqi dinar, and its impact on the Iraqi economy. Some describe this reduction as a support for the global economy, and some see the deterioration of the purchasing power of the Iraqi individual. New policies. Dr. Mohammed Saleh spoke about the policy of the central bank since its establishment so far in a concise and clear way, as the bank's goal is to manage the monetary expectations and how Iraq's oil revenues from 2003 to 2014 are improving continuously. He pointed to the role of Iraq and the agreements signed with the International Monetary Fund and its impact on the Iraqi economy, and the importance of the need for new policies are consistent with the policy of the central bank to reach solutions cash balances. Dr. Mahmoud Mohammed Dagher discussed the current exchange rate regime for 2 years in Iraq and mentioned facts about the Iraqi economy for 2019. The decision to devalue the Iraqi currency is effective in all the monetary and real balances of the Iraqi economy, because one of the causes of inflation, which ignites expectations and pressures towards the continuation of its decision's subsequent reductions. Then he talked about reserves since 2019 to today, and then the exchange rate has been stable for more than a year. The actual external debt is $24 billion, and the annual short debt is between $1.5 and $2 billion, he said. Tax reality. Dagher warned that the decision to reduce the currency risk, because it affects all balances, and then go to the tax and customs fact down to inflation levels. Monetary action needs a positive change in the industrial and agricultural sectors, especially as we are financially weak economically. Dagher concluded that the value of the currency raises inflation, and here is the main benefit of the dollar campaign: economic sectors. The Academy D said that some of the experiences were temporarily reduced to overcome a crisis and then returned. Do we have the potential to adopt such a way? Issues? The need for multilateralism in building economic and productive sectors in particular, as well as the activation of other agricultural policies, industrial, global experiences. The financial sector is the cornerstone of the stage of economic development sought by the country, and the introduction of such an important subject before financial experts is the need to come out with effective treatment, and can. Taking advantage of global experiences in this direction, to find out the merits of the subject and to know the actual benefit of the national economy. The Iraqi Trade Bank announces the opening of branches in China, Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi. July 7, 2019. Walter. Economy 1635. Baghdad. The Iraqi Trade Bank, BPI, on Sunday launched its plan to boost its revenues from unilateral and international business. The plan includes an expansion of the bank's operations, including the opening of new representations in China, Abu Dhabi and Saudi Arabia, where the bank's revenue from foreign transactions is expected to rise to 30%, Faisal Al-Hamas, director of the bank, told National News. Of total imports, with the end of the next 3 years. It is noteworthy that the Iraqi Trade Bank contributes 80% of the official Iraqi trade with other countries, with a capital of $30 billion. New Defense Secretary reassures U.S. envoy, we will not allow attacks on coalition forces. July 7, 2019. Security Defense Success Shamari Jim Jeffrey Deesh International Alliance. July 7, 2019. 8 hours, 26 minutes, and 41 seconds. Ashrak al-Assad, Defense Minister Naya al-Shammari received on Sunday U.S. Special Envoy to Iraq and Syria Jim Jeffrey and his accompanying delegation. The U.S. envoy praised the tasks and role played by these forces in the fight against terrorism and stressed that the United States respects the sovereignty of Iraq and its military and political decisions in its territory. For his part, the Minister of Defense said that the Iraqi government is doing a great diplomatic and political work in the region and is respected by all, and that it is dealing with the crisis wisely according to the interests of Iraq and the region, and will not allow the use of its territory to carry out any military operation from Iraq, nor will it allow attacks on coalition forces and diplomatic missions in Iraq. A UNESCO delegation will visit Babylon next week and begin its rehabilitation. July 7, 2019. 07 inches minus 2019 2:46 p.m. Minister of Culture Abdelamir Al-Hamdani announced Sunday that a delegation from UNESCO will visit Babylon next week. Al-Hamdani pointed to the maintenance work in Babylon, as well as the creation of a tourist city and the reopening of the local museum. He added that the city of the marshes will also be rehabilitated by 15 billion dinars. Find out the agenda for the next session of Parliament. July 7, 2019. Baghdad. The House of Representatives will hold its 31st session on Monday, the first legislative year. It is scheduled to discuss the Parliament's six axes: the vote on the proposal for the First Amendment to the Federal Budget Law 2019, the vote on the draft law amnesty from tax sanctions, as well as the vote on the draft law of the Second Amendment to the Law of the Union of Geologists, voting on the recommendations for resolving the housing crisis, the second reading of the draft law on communications and informatics, public discussions. Iraq signs an agreement with the World Bank to promote electricity in 4 provinces. July 7, 2019. 07/077 hours, 43 minutes, and 14 seconds. Iraq signed with the World Bank a loan agreement worth $200 million to develop the electricity sector in the southern provinces of the country. The Deputy Prime Minister for Economic Affairs and Minister of Finance Fuad Hussein signed a memorandum of understanding with the bank's representative in charge of the government's program to strengthen the relationship between Iraq and society and benefit from the expertise of international organizations. The International Conference on Iraq Yar Salem, on Sunday, a project agreement aimed at developing and strengthening electrical systems in the southern provinces. This project will contribute to the increase in electricity supply and regularity. In addition to the reconstruction and rehabilitation of the network of transmission lines and distribution and the installation of new transmission lines and substations and information systems that enhance the capacity of the network to deliver electricity to citizens, pointing out that this project will serve 5.2 million citizens in the provinces of Basra, Muthanna, Dhikar and Maysan. Left double quotation mark. Iraq relies on Iranian gas to feed several power plants and imports about 1.5 billion standard cubic feet per day via pipeline in the south and east. Washington seeks to curb Iranian influence in the Middle East, including Iraq, where Tehran enjoys good relations at all levels. Although Iraq has one of the largest reserves of natural gas in the world, it is slowly moving towards extraction and depends on the supply of gas and electricity from Iran. Central Bank approves the controls of merger and the Union of Banks. July 7, 2019. Central Bank of Iraq Banks Economy News Baghdad. The Central Bank of Iraq announced on Sunday its ratification of the controls of the merger of banks. The central bank said in a statement received by Economy News, in the belief of the need to develop and improve services in the banking sector, the Board of Directors of the Central Bank of Iraq on the merger and the Union of Banks. In its resolution number 90 of 2019, the statement said that the controls included the requirements of merger or union between banks wishing to, as well as the benefits obtained by the merged banks or the united, and the powers of the central bank in those operations. He pointed out that these controls can be accessed by visiting the website of the Central Bank of Iraq.